Okay, so I'm going to show you how simple it is to make this connection, by the way. I'm not going to insist too much on the configuration on the partner switch side. You have to configure it so that it can have a VTEP. You have to configure it for VXLAN. That is completely outside of the scope of this presentation. But one constant across all this is that this HSC must be provided with the IP address of our NSX controller. That's, of course, the minimum you need. You also have a certificate that is extracted from this HSC, and this is something that, for security reason, will allow us to enable this connection safely if you want. So we'll need to provide that. So then we go into our NSX dashboard on vCenter, and we're going to click on service, what is it? Service definition. Sorry, I didn't know that by heart. And you have a table here where you can create a profile, and I'm going to create here a profile for my HSC. And I'm pasting my certificate into this box. When I click OK, I have created, if you want, I have registered my HSC to NSX. That is the only configuration you will need to integrate this hardware switch controller. So it's a one-time configuration. This is the installation, if you want, of this hardware device. The rest will be just mapping logical switches to physical port and VLANs. And this can be done without any modification on the hardware switch itself. So you just need to register this guy, and then you can forget about it. It is available for you now in the NSX infrastructure. And this is pretty much what I'm going to show you now. How do I extend now a logical switch to a physical port on one of those physical hardware gateway controlled by this HSC? So I'm going to go to my logical switch tab in NSX. So again, a logical switch is pretty much equivalent to a VLAN, a virtual VLAN. I mean, a VLAN is already virtual, but this is our broadcast domain construct in NSX. And you see in this example, I have already 3 of those logical switch created, and my virtual machine, let's assume, is attached to the database logical switch. So I'm going to select my database logical switch, and I'm going to click on Attach Hardware Ports. When I do that, a pop-up opens, and you see my profile is selected by default because this is the only one I have on this box. But if I had several HSC, the drop-down menu would allow me to select the HSC that is concerned by this binding. So here I only have one. That's fine. Then I click plus, and you see that now I have to enter 3 fields: a switch ID, a port number, and a VLAN. Why a switch ID? Remember, an HSC can control several physical switches. So, for example, if I had 20 switches of this HSC, I would have to select with a drop-down menu the physical switch I want to map my logical switch to. So here I only have one, so I'm not going to touch this. I'm going to select a physical port on this physical switch. So here again, I have a drop-down list that is provided to me by the HSC, and I just need to select the port I want to bind my logical switch to, and eventually I enter my VLAN number, and that's it. So by just doing that, I have extended a logical switch to a physical port on a physical switch, and with a particular VLAN tag. It's that simple.